After refusing to try medicine for her medical doctor wife, she cut ties with her first love. I am the husband of a genius medical doctor. After marriage, we were deeply in love, and everyone envied me for marrying a wife who was both family-oriented and a good earner. I thought our marriage was perfect and couldn't help but show off my wife to the whole world. But one day, I overheard her conversation with a student at the laboratory door. Ming Yao and Ah Qing have the most similar physical conditions. I've spent so many years researching this. If I don't trick him into testing medicine for Ah Qing, if Ah Qing suffers any harm, how could I live with myself? So all those medicines I tested for her were just a joke. Since that's the case, whoever wants to be a test subject can do it themselves. Professor, isn't this going too far? Ming Yao finally got a new artificial heart, and you're making him try the new medicine. If something happens to him. Before the student could finish, Jiang Lingzhou's low rebuke came from inside the laboratory. It's not your place to lecture me. Although I couldn't see her face clearly, I knew she was truly angry just from her voice. Sure enough, the sound of something being smashed came the next second. He must try the new medicine. Ah Qing is physically weak and can't wait any longer. The student didn't dare say much more and was about to leave when Professor Jiang stopped them. She hesitated and said, "Just to be safe, let's push the trial to next week. We should conduct a few more rounds of tests to ensure Ming Yao won't be harmed at all." Professor Jiang's words were like a knife stabbing deep into my heart, causing me almost unbearable pain. Could it be that all these years, the person she truly loved was Wang Qing? While I was just a test subject, I returned to my room in a daze. The pain in my chest from my artificial heart replacement made it almost impossible to stand straight, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the anguish in my heart. I collapsed onto the bed, my gaze falling on the flowers and medicine bottles on the table, and I finally couldn't help but burst into laughter. I have been married to Jiang Lingzhou for 5 years, and I've always cherished and loved her with all my heart. I thought I was the happiest man in the world, so I was willing to serve as her test subject for her medical career. Over the 5 years, I've coughed up blood countless times, contracted numerous incurable diseases, and even my heart has gradually deteriorated due to frequent drug testing. But I never regretted it. For her, I could give up my life. Yet I never expected that all of this was just a joke, a carefully woven lie by her. "Honey, why do you look so unwell? Are you feeling uncomfortable?" Seeing my pale face, Jiang Lingzhou rushed over and carefully embraced me, gently massaging my chest, with concern nearly overflowing from her eyes. Before, I would have felt happy, thankful for marrying such a caring woman. But now I only feel waves of coldness. It's all my fault for not being by your side. Jiang Lingzhou's voice was filled with self-blame. Looking at her sincere eyes, I somewhat pleadingly said, "Lingzhou, this heart was just transplanted into me. Can we not test the drug anymore?" A hint of hesitation flashed across her face. I quickly added, "I'm afraid if there's any rejection reaction, I won't be able to stay by your side anymore." Jiang Lingzhou's gaze fell on my chest. She let out a long sigh and deliberately said, "Minji, but this drug is very important for my career." Looking at her determined eyes, a sourness welled up in my nose, and my heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. So it turns out that my life is far less important to her than that person. Seeing my distressed expression, Jiang Lingzhou quickly promised, "I guarantee I'll protect you well." She pressed against the tip of my nose, her voice gentle and doting. "You are my life. How could I bear to let you suffer any harm?" Every sentence was nothing but lies to deceive me. My heart turned to ashes, and I despairingly said, "It's okay, Lingzhou. I can still endure it." Joy clearly showed on Jiang Lingzhou's face, but she still said, "This is the last time, husband. I won't let you be in any danger again." Embraced in her warm arms, I felt nothing but extreme coldness. That night, I couldn't fall asleep at all. At dawn, Jiang Lingzhou's phone rang, with the man on the other end sounding jealous and bitter. Jiang Lingzhou gently comforted him, then left without hesitation. Hearing the door close, I kept replaying the conversation I overheard last night in my mind. She left in such a hurry, probably going to see that man. That man who was being protected at the cost of my life. After she left, I immediately went into Jiang Lingzhou's study. Her bookshelf was filled with countless photos of me, and on the balcony hung a huge portrait she had painted of me. Even the layout of the study was designed according to my aesthetic preferences. Anyone who saw this study would be moved by Jiang Lingzhou's deep affection for me. But only I knew that in her computer, there was a password-protected folder that I couldn't access. That was what Jiang Lingzhou told me when she was drunk, saying it was the most precious thing in her life. It was her life. I thought it was her research results, so I didn't take it seriously at all. Now it seems, perhaps things aren't what I thought they were. I tentatively entered Jiang Lingzhou's phone password, and to my surprise, it immediately opened that file. It turned out that the phone password she claimed had no special meaning was actually another person's birthday. The file was full of photos of someone named Wang Qing. Every photo was taken by Jiangli Engzu, and the lens doesn't lie. Each picture told me that Jiang Lingzhou loved him deeply. Ironically, Jiang Lingzhou once told me that she didn't know photography. They traveled together, read books together, and even raised a kitten together. Yet Jiang Lingzhou told me she was allergic to cat hair, and because of this, I even gave away my cat of 8 years. In the images, Jiang Lingzhou's gaze was cautious, passionate, yet timid, something I had never seen before. With me, she was always composed, always solemn. I thought it was just her personality, not realizing it was simply because she didn't love me. The last page was a letter she wrote to Wang Qing. Ah Qing, I finally found someone with a physical condition very similar to yours. He even thinks I love him and eagerly volunteers to test drugs for me. He has heart disease but doesn't know it. He volunteered to test drugs for me and ended up with cancer, but that's not my fault. He volunteered. I forced my eyes wide open, stubbornly refusing to let tears fall. It turns out the person she truly wanted to spend her life with was never me. In her heart, I was just a test subject. What I thought was a chance encounter and falling in love was all just her deliberate arrangement. Everything was because my physical condition was similar to Wang Qing's. She had been using me all along. I shut down the computer and returned to my room. It was only when I collapsed onto the bed that I finally broke down in tears. I couldn't control the memories flooding back in my mind of the first time I almost died in a hospital bed due to heart disease. Back then, I had taken the medicine Jiang Lingzhou gave me, and shortly after, I experienced unbearable chest pain, coughing up large amounts of fresh blood. I was terrified and called Jiang Lingzhou, but she never answered. I naively thought she was just busy. In the hospital room, I nearly died from severe bleeding. Jiang Lingzhou comforted me, saying she would always stay by my side and wouldn't let anything happen to me. I was moved to tears, yet also filled with deep self-blame, feeling it was my carelessness that had let her down. So even when the doctor later told me that forcibly testing drugs on my body could potentially lead to a fatal heart attack, I was still willing to try again and again for her. How could I have known that what I thought was salvation and deep love was all manipulated by her? The pain radiating from my heart made it almost impossible to breathe, a side effect from the long-term drug testing I did for Jiang Lingzhou. I was afraid of worrying her, so I never dared to tell her. Perhaps she already knew that I was tortured to the brink of death every night, but she simply didn't care. Every detail of my time with Jiang Lingzhou kept flashing through my mind. During these 7 years, I tested drugs for her and experienced countless brushes with death. Each time, she tried her utmost to save me. Her fear of losing me was genuine, but only because she feared that after my death, there wouldn't be someone who resembled Wang Qing so closely to test drugs for him. With trembling hands, I picked up my phone and checked Jiang Lingzhou's financial records over the years. She had deposited a large sum of money in a Swiss bank and purchased many commercial insurance policies. However, all these assets were invariably registered under one name, Wang Qing. It turned out that Jiang Lingzhou had donated every penny of her income to Wang Qing without compensation. All these years, I thought she was principled and had few savings, so while testing drugs, I also worked tirelessly to support her dreams. How utterly ridiculous. Just then, someone suddenly sent me a WeChat friend request. I opened up the person's profile picture, and my intuition told me he was Wang Qing. It was because of the tightly intertwined fingers in the image, one of which belonged to Jiang Lingzhou. She had been injured in the laboratory, so there was a burn mark on the back of her hand. I clicked on Wang Qing's Moments feed, and the most recent post showed a back view of someone wearing an apron. The caption read, "How fortunate to have a woman willing to cook for you." Jiang Lingzhou had told me she didn't know how to cook and hated the smell of cooking oil, which is why even when I was recovering from surgery, I had to endure the pain to cook for her. But with Wang Qing, all her principles, likes, and dislikes seemed to have vanished. It wasn't that she disliked cooking, she just didn't want to cook for me. I continued scrolling down and saw that on Valentine's Day this year, Jiang Lingzhou had taken Wang Qing to France and bought him valuable artwork worth millions. They kissed in front of the Louvre, rowed boats together on the Seine River, and read books together in the library. That day, Jiang Lingzhou merely did the bare minimum by ordering me a cake, and the card even spelled my name wrong. For Wang Qing's birthday, Jiang Lingzhou prepared a grand fireworks celebration, and that night was the night of my second heart attack. I almost died in the hospital. Tears gradually blurred my vision. I clutched my chest, curled up on the bed, every breath bringing excruciating pain. So in Jiang Lingzhou's eyes, I was nothing but a test subject, a scapegoat for Wang Qing. She gave everything she had to Wang Qing, leaving me with nothing but insincere concerns. I didn't sleep all night. During that time, Jiang Lingzhou sent me countless messages. Before, I thought she shared every detail of her life with me because she loved me. In reality, she was just afraid I would discover the truth, afraid of losing me as her test subject. This time, I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint her. I found a fake death agency and asked them to arrange a fake death for me as soon as possible. Jiang Lingzhou came back in the early morning, and as soon as she entered the house, she eagerly embraced me. Her voice was weary, with bloodshot eyes. "Honey, I've been doing experiments all day. I'm exhausted. Did you miss me? In the past, I would have felt deeply sorry for her. But now I only feel disgusted. She clearly doesn't love me, yet she can still pretend to be deeply in love. Are you angry? She affectionately pinched my nose. I'm not going anywhere today. I'll just stay with you, okay? I remained silent. After all, I was about to leave her, and there was no need to keep this child either. No need to continue acting out this lovey-dovey charade. The phone suddenly rang, and Jiang Lingzhou looked at the text message with confusion. What service did you sign up for that will take effect in 5 hours? I hurriedly grabbed the phone. It was a message from the fake death agency. They had prepared everything for me, and in just 5 hours, it would take effect. I forced a smile. Nothing, just company business. Although a flash of confusion passed through Jiang Lingzhou's eyes, she was confident in my love for her, so she didn't ask further, just held my hand and said, "Honey, even 1 minute apart, I miss you. You must never leave me, understand?" Bitterness welled up in my heart. I lowered my eyes and nodded. Jiang Lingzhou, soon, Su Mingyue will no longer be by your side. I'm about to leave you forever. We should never see each other again in this lifetime. Before Jiang Lingzhou could change her clothes, she received a phone call. What? Something happened to Qing? Wait for me. I'll be right there. Jiang Lingzhou's face was filled with anxiety, and she didn't even spare me a glance before leaving. Yet my heart couldn't stir even a ripple of emotion. But before my fake death, I needed a reasonable excuse. So I opened Qing's chat window. I'm Jiang Lingzhou's husband. Let's meet. When Qing came to meet me, he was still on the phone with Jiang Lingzhou. He deliberately put it on speaker, letting me hear Jiang Lingzhou's tender and doting voice on the other end of the call. Qing, why are you running around when your health is poor? If something happens to you, how am I supposed to live? Qing had a victorious smile on his face. I miss you so much. When will you give me the medicine you promised? You haven't developed feelings for that man, have you? Finding it hard to let go, Jiang Lingzhou fell silent for a moment, then smiled helplessly. I only have you in my heart. Don't I need to have him try it first before I can give it to you? I don't want you to suffer even the slightest harm. My hand beneath the table gripped my sleeve tightly, with a bitter smile plastered on my face. After hanging up the phone, Qing looked at me provocative. Oh, why? Lingzhou really goes to great lengths for me. His eyes and brows were filled with the pride of a victor. His skin was ruddy, looking nothing like someone who was ill. I turned to look at myself in the mirror, pale-faced, emaciated and gaunt. Due to repeatedly testing drugs for Jiang Lingzhou, my body had long become extremely weak. I might as well tell you the truth. Actually, there's nothing wrong with me. She makes you test drugs only because of something I said. I should have known. Jiang Lingzhou is a medical genius. How could she not notice that Qing was faking illness? She just loved him too much, loved him enough to let me die. I'm not here to compete with you for Jiang Lingzhou. I'll leave her, but you need to fulfill one request for me. Meeting Qing's mocking gaze, I said word by word. I just want the new drug from her laboratory. After all, I'm the one testing it. So what difference does it make whether I take it a day earlier or later? After leaving the hotel, I felt much more relaxed. These past few days, I had been sticking to Jiang Lingzhou constantly. At first, she could still patiently deal with me, but later became extremely impatient. But I didn't care, as long as I could get the drug. 3 days later, Qing brought me Jiang Lingzhou's new drug. After swallowing the pill, I finally felt completely relieved. Before the staff from the fake death agency arrived, I tidied up everything in my home, cut all my photos into pieces and threw them in the trash, and replaced every photo frame with pictures of Jiang Lingzhou and Qing together. Once I'm gone, there will be no one left to prevent them from being together. But just before I lay down on the hospital bed, my phone suddenly rang. Jiang Lingzhou sent me a long voice message saying she couldn't accompany me for New Year's Eve as the laboratory was too busy. Yet the background noise in her voice message was clearly an airport announcement, reminding her that the flight to the Maldives was about to take off. I knew without thinking that Jiang Lingzhou was going on vacation with Qing. It had been like this for years. Regardless of what holiday it was, she always had to be with Qing. Even when I was nearly dying in the hospital, she would still go celebrate Qing's birthday. Only now, she couldn't even be bothered to make excuses to me anymore. I smiled self-mockingly, then closed my eyes as instructed by the staff, silently telling myself in my heart, Su Mingyao, soon you will be able to completely leave Jiang Lingzhou behind. At the same time, the moment she landed in the Maldives, Jiang Lingzhou received a call from the hospital back home. Her student's voice was panicked and trembling. Professor, Mingyao found out about your relationship with Mr. Wang, and he took the new drug you developed in the laboratory. His heart stopped suddenly, and resuscitation efforts failed. He's gone. Jiang Lingzhou's face was filled with shock, as if she couldn't understand what her student was saying. After a long moment, she finally reacted and shouted uncontrollably into the phone. What do you mean he's gone? What nonsense are you talking about? When I left, Wasn't he perfectly fine? Besides, how could he possibly get into my laboratory? Are you and he trying to trick me together? Jiang Lingzhou simply couldn't accept the fact that I would leave her. Jiang Lingzhou paced around like a trapped beast, turning in circles. But the student on the other end of the phone, voice now choked with tears, said, "Professor, Ming Yao is really gone. The hospital has already issued a death certificate. Do you want me to send it to you?" The student paused, then hesitantly said, "Could it be that after Brother Minji found out about your situation, he couldn't handle it and committed suicide?" Jiang Lingzhou instinctively cursed. "Bullshit. How could he possibly know? Besides, how could the drugs from my lab possibly kill someone? Didn't I say to experiment a few more rounds, to ensure it was absolutely foolproof?" The student was so frightened they didn't dare to breathe. They could only carefully reply, "Professor, I think you should come back and see. After all, Ming is your husband." Jiang Lingzhou suddenly remembered my unusual behavior these past few days. In the past, I wouldn't deliberately cling to her. I would go along with everything and listen to whatever she said. But this time, I clung to her relentlessly, and even when she said she wouldn't spend the new year with me, I didn't utter a single complaint. Could it be that I really? Jiang Lingzhou completely couldn't believe this news. She turned to look at Wang Qing beside her. Wang Qing lowered his head guiltily. "Why are you looking at me? How would I know why he suddenly?" Just then, the student sent my death certificate to Jiang Lingzhou's phone. Jiang Lingzhou looked at my name and instantly lost control. She trembled all over, as if suffocating, her face turning deathly pale. No longer able to stay calm, Jiang Lingzhou panicked and started walking back. Wang Qing, frightened, quickly grabbed her. Lingzhou, what's wrong?" But Jiang Lingzhou pushed her away, turned around and returned to the departure hall, booking the earliest flight back to the country. On the way to the hospital, Jiang Lingzhou drove extremely fast, running through more than a dozen red lights, terrifying Wang Qing in the passenger seat, whose face turned pale. She ran all the way to the hospital room where I was lying quietly on the bed next to the heart monitor displaying a flat line, with no trace of a living person's breathing. The moment Jiang Lingzhou rushed to the hospital room and saw me, she frantically lunged forward to perform emergency resuscitation. "Ming Yao, this can't be, you can't die. You must be playing a joke on me, right? With me here, you won't die. I'm a medical genius, I can definitely save you. Ming Yao, please don't leave me, don't leave me. Wake up, I'll spend the new year with you, okay? From now on I'll agree to anything you want, I won't make you take medicine anymore, okay?" The students standing at the doorway couldn't bear to watch, and several of them held Jiang Lingzhou back. "Professor Jiang, we've already tried several rounds of resuscitation. Ming Yao is truly gone. Please let Ming Yu go peacefully. Don't torment him anymore." Jiang Lingzhou was in such agony she was nearly breaking down. All these years she had kept my health condition well balanced. Even though she constantly gave me medicine, she also gave me many supplements. I shouldn't have run out of life force so quickly. Besides, even if I had taken her new medicine, I shouldn't have died from it. How could she put something poisonous in the medicine? How could she bear to let me die? Jiang Lingzhou covered her head, still unwilling to believe. Suddenly, she remembered the day she wasn't in the laboratory and quickly asked, "Who went to the laboratory during those days? Go check the laboratory surveillance footage for me. I need to know who took my medicine and killed my husband." Wang Qing, standing nearby, listened with fear and trepidation. He hurriedly pulled aside a student and gently tried to persuade Jiang Lingzhou. "Lingzhou, what's done is done. Please don't dwell on this anymore. He's already gone, so please stop tormenting yourself. Besides, you still have me. I'll always be by your side." But Jiang Lingzhou seemed not to have heard his words at all, directly ignoring him. With a gloomy face, she said to the student, "No matter who you find, you must tell me. I won't let anyone who hurt Minky get away with it." Instantly, Wang Qing was frightened pale. He couldn't believe at all that Jiang Lingzhou would be so angry for my sake. Jiang Lingzhou arranged everything, then crawled on her knees toward me step by step. Her face was deathly pale, her entire being radiating madness. "Ming Yu, I know I was wrong. You saw it just now, didn't you? I truly care about you. I really can't lose you, otherwise I'll truly go insane. Please wake up and look at me, okay? You clearly promised to spend your life with me. How could you break your promise?" When other doctors tried to transfer me to the morgue, Jiang Lingzhou frantically blocked them, standing in front of me. "Without my permission, none of you are allowed to take my Ming Yao away. He is my husband. I want to stay with him. He's not dead." At this moment, a team of funeral staff filed in, heading straight for my hospital bed. The man leading them directly presented a letter of authorization. "We have been entrusted by Mr. Su Ming Yao to take full responsibility. Why for all his funeral arrangements hereafter. Please make way." Jiang Lingzhou, with reddened eyes, said, "I am his wife. I don't agree. By what right are you taking away my husband? And who are you anyway?" The other party ignored her words and said coldly, "Mr. Su has already donated his remains. Even if you are his wife, you cannot prevent us from taking him away." The body donation document I had signed personally completely disqualified her from keeping me. Although Jiang Lingzhou was extremely reluctant, she couldn't overcome the authority of those official documents. I was successfully removed from the hospital. About 15 minutes later, a series of knocking sounds awakened me from the suspended, breathing, hypnotic state. Mr. Su, we have completed your request. Here are your new identity documents. You may leave now. Taking the new identity documents, I unhesitatingly turned and boarded the international flight. Watching the city grow distant, a heavy weight finally lifted from my heart. Jiang Lingzhou, we shall never meet again. Meanwhile, Jiang Lingzhou returned home in a daze. But as soon as she entered, she was stunned. All of my belongings had vanished from the house, and all my photos had been replaced with Wang Qing's. She numbly picked up the phone that was placed on the table, and the photo album was full of pictures of her and Wang Qing together. Jiang Lingzhou's face instantly turned pale. So Minji knew everything all along. No wonder he was reluctant to let me leave those days, but if I hadn't left, he wouldn't have died. It's all my fault. Jiang Lingzhou staggered and fell to her knees, endless remorse spreading in her heart. She desperately pulled at her hair, murmuring, Minji, please come back, I beg you. She looked around the familiar home, recalling the moments we shared together. Every part of the house was designed by me personally, and every cozy corner once had my presence. She desperately wished that I would appear now and say something to her with a smile. Jiang Lingzhou's heart ached so much she could barely breathe. Even she herself had only just realized that my importance to her had already penetrated to her core, and she could no longer live without me. She picked up her phone with tears streaming down her face, but discovered a familiar account in her contacts. It was actually Wang Qing. Suddenly, she realized the truth of the whole situation. It turned out everything was Wang Qing's doing. Just then, a student arrived at her home with surveillance footage, hesitantly telling her, Teacher, it was indeed Mr. Wang who entered the laboratory and took your things. And we also found out that before Brother Ming Yao died, he had met with Wang Qing. I don't know if that means. In the video, Wang Qing sneaked into the laboratory suspiciously, not only secretly taking Jiang Lingzhou's medicine, but so taking a selfie and sending it to me. He mockingly sent me a voice message. Su Mingyao, you've never been in Lingzhou's laboratory, have you? Well, a test subject indeed doesn't deserve that privilege. Now that you've got what you wanted, you should leave. No one will miss you. Hearing these words, Jiang Lingzhou's eyes instantly reddened, the anger in them impossible to suppress. Just at that moment, Wang Qing came chasing after them, and seeing Jiang Lingzhou's dejected appearance, he hurriedly went to support her. Lingzhou, what are you doing? Even if he found out about what's between us, so what? The person you love is me, right? Now that he's gone, I can be with you. We can be together forever. Before Wang Qing could finish speaking, he was violently pushed away by Jiang Lingzhou. Wang Qing, how dare you say such things to Minky? Why did you tell him about your existence? Why did you pretend to be sick? You weren't sick at all. Why did you deceive me time and again? If it weren't for you trying to compete with Minky for my affection, I wouldn't have lost him. This is all because of you. You're the one who caused his death. At this moment, Jiang Lingzhou had completely forgotten about the vow she had made earlier to spend her life with Wang Qing, fully losing control. Lingzhou, it wasn't me. But Jiang Lingzhou wouldn't listen to his explanation at all, directly grabbing his neck, her grip so strong that his face turned bright red. The students, afraid that Jiang Lingzhou might actually strangle Wang Qing, quickly pulled her away. After being rescued by others, Wang Qing immediately ran away as if escaping for his life. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Looking at the heavy snow outside the window from a distance, I couldn't help but recall the past. 3 years ago, I flew to France and used all the savings I had accumulated over the years to open a bakery. Watching people come and go every day brought immense peace to my heart. After all, since marrying Jiang Lingzhou, I not only had to endure her temper, but also spent many lonely nights tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Actually, thinking about it now, she just treated me as an experiment, nothing more. Even when she abandoned me, I didn't dare do anything, wouldn't cause her any trouble. These days, although I still think about what happened in the past, I no longer feel so much resentment and loss. Jiang Lingzhou has become like a stranger in my memory, slowly retreating from my heart, no longer able to stir up any waves of emotion. The doorbell rang, and I looked over toward the sound to see an adorable smiling face. Mr. Lin, did you make coffee today? Her name was Gu Jing, and she lived next door to me. And my new name was Lin Wangshu. Since I moved here, she would come to my shop every day. Sometimes she would sit by the window, with a book. Sometimes she would bring an easel, and sometimes she would excitedly tell me about philosophical questions I couldn't understand. And I would always brew her a cup of coffee. I had specially learned how to brew coffee because Jiang Lingzhou liked it, and I was willing to do anything she liked. Mr. Lin, what are you thinking about? You seem so lost in thought. Gu Jing's face suddenly magnified before my eyes, and I quickly stepped back to create some distance between us. But my heart was racing so fast that I stammered when I spoke. Nothing. Why? Why did you come so early today? Usually, she would only come around dusk. Gu Jing tilted her head slightly, her bright eyes twinkling with a gentle smile. I didn't have much to do today, so I came over after finishing everything. I was afraid if I came too late, I wouldn't get to taste your coffee. Her voice was gentle and pleasant, carrying just the right amount of intimacy without being too ambiguous. I turned around somewhat flustered and walked toward the counter, preparing coffee with my back to her, trying to hide my nervousness. As long as you ask, I'll definitely save some for you. I responded, but my hands were trembling slightly without me realizing it. Gu Jing unhurriedly walked to the high stool at the counter and sat down, her gaze following my back. Mr. Lin, will you ever go back to China? Never mind. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I was just asking casually. I placed the coffee in front of her, trying to keep my voice calm. I'm not going back. After all, I never want to see Jiang Lingzhou again. This kind of peaceful life, I certainly don't want to disrupt it. It's better to just let me continue living this simple, peaceful life. Actually, it doesn't matter where, as long as the most important person is by your side. Sometimes it's better not to know the mystery when you're in the midst of it. There was a deep loneliness in her eyes as she spoke. Perhaps. Hearing my answer, Gu Jing was slightly stunned, her sad eyes filled with glistening tears that, under the dim light, appeared somewhat broken. It's not that I couldn't understand Gu Zhang's feelings, but I just didn't want any emotional entanglements to disturb my peace of mind. I only wanted to live a quiet life. Gu Zhang slightly lowered her head, and in that moment of disappointment, the aura around her seemed to dim. She remained silent for a moment, then looked up with a forced smile. I misspoke. Wang Shu, please don't take it to heart. Looking at her, a feeling of sympathy inexplicably welled up inside me. It's all right. You were just making conversation. I don't mind. Don't worry about it. Gu Jing picked up the coffee cup and took a light sip. I haven't asked you yet. Why is the coffee you brew so delicious? Did you specifically learn how to make it? I knew she was deliberately changing the subject and was about to follow her lead. But just then, the shop door was suddenly pushed open with great force, accompanied by a loud bang. Both Gu Jing and I were startled and instinctively turned our heads. An emaciated woman with a gloomy face walked in. I never would have imagined that Jiang Lingzhou would actually find this place. Although the people from the fake death organization had told me early on that Jiang Lingzhou had discovered something fishy about the situation, I should have known this would happen. After all, Jiang Lingzhou is one of the country's foremost genius pharmaceutical experts, and it would be easy for her to get hold of my remains. Upon discovering that my body couldn't be found, she would naturally suspect whether I was still alive. Besides, in these past few years, I had been keeping up with domestic news. The news of Wang Qing dying unknowingly at home had once sparked widespread discussion on the internet. However, there was no evidence to prove he was murdered, so the case was eventually left unresolved. But I knew it must have been done by Jiang Lingzhou. Only she had the ability to kill without leaving a trace. She walked up in a few steps and grabbed my wrist directly, with madness surging in her eyes. Why didn't you tell her? Who did you learn that for specifically? Jiang Lingzhou's voice was ice cold. Who gave you the courage to leave me? Do you know what kind of life I've been living all these years? Do you know I almost went insane? I met her gaze. Jiang Lingzhou, we're completely over. Why can't I leave you? Aren't all those things you did enough reason for me to leave you? All the events from 3 years ago suddenly unfolded before us. Those unbearable memories exhausted me. I would never forgive Jiang Lingzhou, forgive her for all the harm she did to me. But I'm willing to atone. I'm willing to do anything for you, as long as you can forgive me. I really can't live without you. What happened before was my fault. I know I was wrong. I gave a cold laugh and asked mockingly, Jiang Lingzhou, do you think I have to forgive you just because you apologized? You think too highly of yourself. Jiang Lingzhou grabbed my hand and stepped forward, instinctively wanting to explain. Gu Jing quickly pulled me behind him. Miss Jiang, this is not a place for you to act crazy. And Wang Shu is not someone you can harass. Wang Shu. Jiang Lingzhou's eyes were filled with confusion. She murmured this name repeatedly and laughed to herself. Right? I had forgotten your new name. Wang Shu, it sounds nice. But when her gaze fell on Gu Jing's hand, she narrowed her eyes in displeasure. What does this have to do with you? This was between her and me. I didn't want to involve others. This has nothing to do with her. If you're angry, direct it at me. Seeing that I was actually protecting her, the sadness in Jiang Lingzhou's eyes became more obvious. Who is she? It's only been 3 years, and you've already forgotten me to be with her? How could you betray me? Looking at Jiang Lingzhou's wounded appearance, I felt anger rising within me. What right does she have to accuse me? I spoke impatiently. 3 years can change many things, and besides, what does it have to do with you? Jiang Lingzhou, stop deceiving yourself. You're not welcome here. Please leave. Jiang Lingzhou's body trembled slightly, the color quickly draining from her face, her tone becoming much more pitiful. Mingyou, how could you say such things? She looked at me with sorrowful, grieving eyes. Why? Why are you treating me like this? We haven't seen each other for 3 years, and this is all you want to say to me? Don't you miss me? Have you really forgotten me? Looking at her pained expression, I only felt disgusted. Back then I gave her my whole heart, but she only treated me as a test subject. I said coldly, then what should I say to you? Talk about how you made me sick time and again, how you treated me as a guinea pig. Or should we discuss the deep feelings between you and Wang Qing? Jiang Lingzhou, don't you think you're utterly revolting? Perhaps I was too heartless, as Jiang Lingzhou's eyes instantly turned red, and tears fell. She shook her head, her voice choked. Mingyou, it's not like that. I truly love you. I just didn't understand my own heart back then, but now I regret it. Can you give me one more chance? I sneered, it's too late. Not everyone will wait for you in the same place. After I spoke, Jiang Lingzhou's lips began to tremble. She was almost in tears, seemingly in sincere repentance. But I knew this was just her means to achieve her goal, just like how she was so good to me before, only to test drugs for Wang Qing. Seeing that I remained unmoved, Jiang Lingzhou suddenly knelt on the ground, trying to crawl toward me, but was stopped by Gu Jing. Mingyou, have you forgotten? During our first year together, I accompanied you to watch fireworks, and you said you would remember it for a lifetime. And when I went with you to the amusement park, you said it was your happiest day. Our 7 years of feelings, have you really forgotten all of it? She attempted to awaken my love for him by using our beautiful memories. But within those sincere moments, who knows how much was pretense, how many lies and humiliations were mixed in. Now I only feel utterly disgusted. Jiang Lingzhou, I was blind back then, which is why I fell for your deception. But now I've seen through you, and I won't have any relationship with you anymore. My emotions surged, and I don't know how long it took before they gradually calmed down. Jiang Lingzhou, if you really want to push me to death, I'll die right here, in front of you. She knew I was capable of anything. Seeing my resolute expression, Jiang Lingzhou finally realized that we could never go back to how we were. Our acquaintance that began with deception was a mistake from the start. Jiang Lingzhou left in despair, and from then on, she never came to disturb my life again. Until 3 years later. At that time, Gu Jing and I were walking hand in hand along the Seine River, as she fastened my scarf and carefully cradled my hand against her chest. Suddenly, my phone alerted me that a huge sum of money had been deposited into my bank account. Upon closer inspection, I was shocked to see that the sender was Jiang Lingzhou. Before I could fully process this, her student called me. That's when I learned that after I rejected her, Jiang Lingzhou had fallen into depression, spending her days hiding in our old house, staring blankly at my photos. And yesterday, she finally couldn't bear the torment anymore and jumped to her death. But before dying, she had bequeathed all her assets to me, hoping I could live a carefree life. At that moment, my feelings were conflicted, and I didn't know what to say. The truth is, I had long forgotten Jiang Lingzhou's existence. I now had someone more important by my side,